Hello and welcome to Tales from the Doghouse, Separation Anxiety Explained.
Oh, that's too funny.
Dogs love it. Look.
Aww.
What's that? I can't turn it off now. I am Ness Jones. I am in Australia. I am from Separation Anxiety and Dog Speed Photos. And with me today is...
I am Stacey Bell from Focused Fun in the US. Today we are going to talk about preparing your dog for the holidays. So I've had a big think about this. Just some of my clients have more sensitive dogs. So just trying to think of how much things change around the holidays. And so I was like kind of starting a list of just that, not even like what to do about it, but like all of the things that change around the holidays. Just, I think, to give us a appreciation for how much our dogs have to adapt without really understanding what's going on, right? So add to it, Ness, as you think of things. But some of the things I thought of is your big feelings, right? So whether that's stress or joy or excitement or sadness or, whatever feelings that you have around the holidays, they're usually amplified, right? Or in combination with other things going on. So that was one of them that I thought of. Routine changes are big around the holidays, right? Because you might be home from work more or working from home more or having people visit, which is another one. You might be rushing around more, which I know for Rowan, that's a kind of a trigger for him is if I'm rushing around, he starts to get a little anxious. Furniture movement. So, as you're trying to accommodate your Christmas tree or other decorations, you might be moving your furniture around. So that might unsettle some dogs. The decorations themselves might unsettle some dogs. More visitors, I think we already said, you might be gone more. There might be even more like deliveries to your house, like if you're shopping online and all of those deliveries coming to your house. So those were like just the top of my head things that I thought of that are different around the holidays. And it's really interesting because we can't explain to our dogs, oh no, this is to celebrate or, whatever it is. So for those sensitive dogs, it can be really tough. Ness, can you think of any more changes that happen around the holidays?
Yeah, I mean, for I don't know about in the Northern Hemisphere, but it's school holidays here now as well. So kids are home from school for a whole 8 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, depending on, what school they go to, etc. That's a big one because, we have lots of fun with children and then but again, they have their friends around and it can be very confusing for a dog, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people go visiting with family and might take the dog with them, or as you said, vice versa. The family comes to them, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Lots of foodie smells. There's lots of hustle and bustle, as you said. And weird things in the house, like the tree.
Yeah. That they're not allowed to touch.
Mine were very interested when I got the tree out. Last year, I made a fatal error. I had some really nice baubles, but they were like, I don't know if they weren't glass, but they're like a sharp sort of baubles, and just the height, they kept knocking them off as they walked past. So
nice.
Were casualties, but yes, I put them up high this year. But yeah, and they were looking at it going, what are you doing? And then wondering whether that tree might be worth peeing on as well, by the way. So.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
But yeah, I like your point about postal deliveries. Lots more. Yeah.
Yeah. And that can be very triggering for some dogs, and it can really interfere with your home alone training if your dog is one of those dogs that's triggered by deliveries. Just one mention of you talking about the kids being off school, that can really not only affect the families who have kids, but also if your neighbors have kids and they're home more, it can to stimulate more environmental noises. And if your dog is triggered by that, that can be disruptive as well. So there's kind of a lot to.
I've got another one.
Yeah.
So we live, well, it's not even close really, but they have carols in the park. I would say it's driving. It'd probably be, I don't know, 3 to 4 kilometers, but I guess as the crows fly a bit closer. Carols in the park, but they had fireworks at the end of it. And you could just hear this distant bong, 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 bong. And it's like, Mr. Big's not very happy at the moment. He wasn't over the top, over threshold, but he was like, I don't know what that noise is and I'm not enjoying it. So
yeah. Because for us, we can sometimes have fireworks around New Year's.
Yes, same
as
here.
well.
Yeah.
So that can be difficult for some dogs as well. Yeah. So we kind of have high expectations for our dogs to take that all in stride. And I think it's, without thinking of it, we kind of are surprised when they can't handle it. And so it was just a little mental exercise that I did that I'm like,
There's a lot of change for dogs who enjoy routine.
Yeah.
And it's most people probably don't even consider that it might be an issue for their dog. They're just excited about what's happening because it's holidays, not realizing that maybe their dog's struggling.
Yeah. So what are some things that we can do to help our dog navigate all these changes? That's kind of, I think, an important piece of this is how can we prepare our dogs to.
Excuse me. I'd like to have a look at your kitty cat there, please. Oh, hello, Puss.
This way.
Is she?
That's Sadie. It's a she. She goes by she, her. She is. She was a stray. She just turned up on our in our hay room when we still had horses. She just turned up in our hay room one day.
Oh, wow.
And we couldn't find her where she belonged. So we kept her.
Was she looking for rats in your hay room, do you think?
She was very scared.
Oh.
So I think she probably got dumped. Like we kind of live at the end of a gravel road.
Yeah.
And so sometimes people will dump dogs or cats and different neighbors take turns taking them.
Yeah.
But she was in our hay room hanging out. And so she's a good cat.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's not really a barn cat anymore. She's more of a house cat that goes outside.
I miss not having a kitty.
Yeah, I like having both. Yeah. So, and they get along nicely now. So, anyways, what were we saying?
Things that we can do to help our doggies.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the things is giving your dog a safe space. So I think we've talked about this before a little bit when we were talking about like safety and security, but giving them a place to get away. And that can sometimes be tricky with dogs with separation related behaviors because, sometimes they're not comfortable being in a separate room from you. So, if it's not a separate room, at least having maybe a bed in the corner or away from most of the action that they can retreat to, and then just making sure you advocate for your dog in that if your dog retreats, that you don't let anybody go to your dog, like let your dog have that space. And
I have to say that can be really, really tricky. I've had house guests around, and it wasn't my dog, it was my cat. At the time, I think we only had one cat at the time, and she wasn't a people person. Like, she loved us, she was fine with us, but strangers, she was like, no, I'm out of here.
No thanks. Yeah.
And this little boy would not leave her alone. She went and hid under my bed, and we would be outside and he would go inside, and I would be like, is he going to the bathroom? Because that's what he would be saying what he was doing. And then I'd go in and catch him, and he'd be trying to get my cat under the bed, and she was terrified. And I'm like,
yeah,
you can't come in here. And I kept shutting the door, and he kept going. When I say little boy, I'm talking about 10 or 11, so he should have known better. And his parents anyway, obviously it's still annoying me because I'm still talking about it all these years later.
But you know, that's so true, is that it can put you kind of in an awkward position when you're trying to tell your friends and family to back off. Like if it's in your immediate family, I think it's pretty comfortable to be like, no, we don't do that, you know. But when you have guests, it can be really tricky to really advocate for your dog. So, you know, kind of having, you know, some words for that ahead of time, just to say, you know, let's leave him over there. He's not comfortable, or, you know, just something in your head that's ready that you can just, you know, it doesn't need to be a long explanation, just a couple of words just to tell them to back off.
I say things like, you know, they will like you better, because they would really, the reason people want to get in your dog's space is because they love dogs, and, you know, they want your dog to love them. So I say, actually, they'll like you better if you ignore them. The more you ignore them, the more they'll probably come to you. But if you keep getting in their face, they're actually want to get away from you more. So so just make them think about it, reframe it a little bit.
Like just giving the dog the option to either come up to you or not. You know, Rowan is not real keen of strangers, so I have a lot of practice, you know, on walks. I mean, he's fine. Like, he'll walk past people fine, but if people try to pet him, he's like, meh, you know, like I can tell he doesn't enjoy it. And then when people come to the house, it's harder for him. But, you know, the other day we were on a walk, and it was a place that we usually don't see anybody. So when we do see people, he's a little suspicious because it's not the norm. And so this guy, comes around the corner, and I was like, oh, that's a friend. You know, we have like this talk about like, that's nothing to worry about. And, you know, blah, blah, blah. And he was so excited to meet that man that I was just like, he was like wagging his whole body. And I was like, this is really unusual. So like the guy's like, oh, is he friendly? Can I pet him? And I'm like, well, like, I guess he's friendly right now.
Yeah, he is to you.
He likes you. So I was like, you need to be my pet sitter, because he doesn't like that many people right off the bat.
So did he pet him, and was Rowan okay? So when he actually got close enough?
Like I never let people approach him to pet him, but like if he approaches the people and his body language is soft and wiggly, then I'm like, yeah, go for it. And the guy gave him like, you know, not even just like, oh, that's nice, but like a real scruffy pet. And Rowan was like happy with it. And I was like, that's
interesting,
weird.
Isn't it? Like, what makes your dog decide this one's okay, this one? Not so much.
But I guess that's another really important thing, is like that you're watching your dog. It can be really, really tough when you have people over and it's busy, to be really like watching your dog, engaging their reaction and comfort level with things. And, you know, but we always talk about how important it is to know body language. And this is another instance when it's like really helpful to be able to just say, you know, this time it's okay for him. No, next time, not okay. Right. Like, and so really letting your dog make that choice of whether they want to engage in something or not. So yes. So safe space and making sure you ask. Speaking of package delivery.
Oh, really?
That's happening. Yes. That's happening as we speak. Target. Way to go, boy. Another thing is to prepare ahead of time. So do make that soft space or safe space for your dog ahead of time. And, you know, if that's not something that you have set up ordinarily, you know, kind of prepping that ahead of time, and, you know, even building like a positive conditioned emotion response to that area by, you know, spending time there, giving treats there, giving food there, whatever, with your dog, so that they're going into that place feeling like it is a safe and calming place. But then also, in addition to preparing that space ahead of time, is like, have bones that they enjoy, or long lasting chews, or frozen Kongs, or whatever, to kind of keep them occupied while while you're busy with either preparing food or visiting with people, or, whatever it is. If they're kind of a dog that likes to be near you a lot, that's a good way to kind of keep them busy.
Yeah. I think one of the things we should mention, obviously, because we are talking about separation anxiety dogs specifically, is that if your dog is struggling, it's probably a good idea to put training on hold for a few days.
Yes.
It depends on your dog. So some of them won't struggle, but if they are struggling, then just put it on hold. And when you come back to it, don't expect to go back to whatever time you were working on. Maybe give them a couple of easy wins and then start building up again. But yeah, and also I always feel like it's really important. Like, it is the holidays, have a holiday. Because doing any kind of training for separation anxiety is hard work. It's not easy. It's time consuming. It's a slow process. And, maybe you need a holiday as well, not just your dog. So have a break and go and do all the fun stuff that you should on the holidays, and then come back to it in the new year when you're ready to go, energized, and
100%.
And feeling what's the right word? Enthusiastic and like you've had a reset. Yeah, I like that. That was definitely one on my list. Another one that's really specific to separation anxiety or dogs with separation anxiety, is making sure you plan ahead for any coverage you need, right? Like, so if you have a party coming up, it's a busy time of year, your normal pet sitter might have plans, and or somebody else might have scheduled something with them. So making sure that you schedule all that stuff as much ahead of time as possible. Like, as soon as you learn about something that you want to participate in, it's
go ahead.
Probably too late. I am seeing so many posts for this year. I'm seeing so many posts on, Facebook groups saying, "Help, I need someone to look after my dog. Does anybody know any pet sitters, dog sitters?" Right. And everyone's like, "No, they're fully booked. They have been for months."
Yeah, exactly. So thinking ahead is really, really important.
Yeah. So yes.
The other, and another thing is, if you have an outing that you want to participate in, a gathering or whatever it is, and you can't get a sitter, can that be, sometimes it can be tweaked so you can bring your dog along, and sometimes it can't, but like, just kind of investigating that, would it be appropriate? And for some dogs that would be fine, and for other dogs it wouldn't. And so just kind of knowing your dog and knowing, would they be able to handle coming with me, or can we change our plans so we all go on a hike together, or can we, so just trying to be flexible with your plans as well.
I think another thing that we should consider is, because we already know the dog's routine is going to be thrown out, is how much are they going to be getting enough exercise and enrichment? Do you have to set aside some special time for them, or do you just it is what it is, but we have to acknowledge that there's a good chance they probably won't be getting that, so that might also throw them out of balance and make them unsettled as well.
100%. So like, for routine changes, if you know that there are going to be some things that are different from the core part of your dog's routine, if on the weeks leading up to the holiday, you can make some of those changes more gradually, your dog might cope better. And then really trying to stick to the key parts of your dog's routine. Like, I'm pretty loosey-goosey. I mean, we have a basic framework, but it's not like at this time exactly we're going to go for a walk or whatever. I mean, there are certain times we have food because he has medication, and we do that like together. So there are certain things that are done at a specific time, but I know for Rowan, his walk is super important. If we don't go for a sniffy walk, then he's just more barky and doesn't settle as well. So that's like a really important part for him. It doesn't need to happen right in the morning, but it needs to happen during the day at some point. And so for me, knowing that about my dog, I would just make sure that, do I need to wake up an hour early? Do I need to have somebody else start some of the cooking? Do I need to do prep ahead of time? And just like really try to be, just plan that out a little bit better with your dog's needs in mind. And exactly like you said, it might not be that they get as much exercise and enrichment as they're used to getting, but just trying to take care of their basic needs as much as you can is important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And of course, don't forget to put a present under the tree for your dog.
I got Rowan one. I got him a new food enrichment toy.
Oh, nice. So, did you wrap it?
Not yet. I haven't wrapped any of my gifts yet, though.
I'm really bad. I haven't bought my dogs Christmas presents for years because I kind of like, well, every day is Christmas for them.
Yeah.
They get well fed, they get walks and training and play and fun. And
Yeah. I just, sometimes I do get them a present. Sometimes I don't. This year I had seen this toy. I can't remember where I saw it. And I was like, oh, that's cute. And then I was like, oh, I'll just get it for Rowan for Christmas. So it was more of like, and I would have gotten it anyways. But then because it was Christmas time, I just saved it till Christmas instead of giving it to him right away, which was very tempting when it came on from when it got delivered. I was like, I could give it to him now. I mean, anyways, the other one that we have that's on my list that we haven't hit yet, and I think is a really important one, both for when you're traveling with your dog and for times like this when things are just different. If there are skills that your dog's going to need, kind of like think like, what do I want my dog to do in this situation? And if that's mat training, then work on your mat training ahead of time. Once you get to like having a house full of people that are like kind of maybe more energetic than usual, and you have a bunch of food around and everything's more crowded because you have your decorations up and all of that kind of stuff, you figure that all in, and it's kind of like PhD level for your dog, right? Because there's so many distractions and the energy level's higher and the space is tighter, and all of those things can make it more difficult for your dog. So teaching them, the day before everybody comes over to stay on their mat when everybody's eating, it's not going to fly, right? Like, so you really are going to have to plan ahead on what skills you think your dog is going to need, and then start training those and slowly adding distractions and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, so mat training is always one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But I'm sure like each individual will have things that they want their dog to be able to do, and just kind of thinking that through and then equipping your dog is the way to go on that.
Yeah, for sure.
One other category that I can think of is just being kind of aware of the environment, right? So in addition to the decorations that, they may or may not have access to, or maybe you don't want them to have access to and they're trying, there's also like some plants that are poisonous to dogs and other pets. It's a really good opportunity for counter surfing for the more opportunistic dogs, because there's, you're setting food out at the table, you're walking away, getting more food, and sometimes the food is unattended, and nobody's really paying attention to the dog when they're trying to get everything on the table, right? So it's all of those kinds of things. And a lot of the foods have stuff in it that the dog shouldn't have, raisins and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
or if it's a turkey carcass and it's cooked, you wouldn't want your dog to get into that, because
exactly,
pretty bad. Yeah,
exactly. So we just want to be careful and mindful of all of that stuff. Trying to think of another one that I was thinking of is situational medications. So if your dog is the kind of dog that's anxious when people come over or when there are big routine changes and you don't have a situational medication from your vet, that's a conversation that would be good to have with them. I'm thinking that this could be a situation that would cause Rowan to be really anxious. How can we support him with medication? You and your vet can decide if that's a good course of action. And if it is, just make sure that you test the medication before you need it, right? Like, so the first time you want to give your dog their situational medication is not the day they need it. It's another day just to test and see if it's a good fit for them.
Yes, because if they have a bad reaction, you don't want that on the middle of, a house full of guests.
No, you don't.
And I guess it's important to be aware of what vets are open or not in your area when things are shut down. Are there emergency vets? Where are they? Make sure you know what their number is, and all that sort of stuff is really important as well. So it's hot over here. It's summertime, so we don't get snow, but I imagine sometimes in America your roads might get closed down as well, do they? Like with this heavy snow and things like that? Or
some of them, a lot of the places that get a lot of snow regularly have really good snow plows and stuff. Yeah. But like in North Carolina, well, at least where I am in North Carolina, we don't get a lot of snow often. So when it does snow, a lot of stuff does shut down because we don't have the equipment to clear the roads and everything. Yeah. So, and then like where I am, I'm down a gravel road. And so the snow sticks to that longer than it does on the asphalt. So like from my house to the main road is probably, maybe it's like 3/4 of a mile. And so it's funny because it'll seem like we're snowed in, but if we walk up to the main road is clear. It's just that our part hasn't melted yet. Yeah. So, it can be tricky. So anyways, it's kind of funny, but yeah, stuff, depending on where you live and what the weather's like, it totally could be, stuff could be closed down. So, I was kind of trying to put, this is a lot of stuff to think about. So I was kind of thinking like, how do you know if you're winning with your separation anxiety dog over the holidays? So I was kind of thinking, that you advocate for your dog, for people, and how they're behaving around their dog or interacting with your dog. And, if it's suitable for your situation, also advocating for your dog to the vet to see if medication might be able to support them better through the holiday season. And then you mentioned modifying training. So it could be that you need to do really easy training. It could be that you need to skip training, and it could be best for your mental health, even if your dog is like totally, fine. And actually your schedule is not going to be that different, or your routine is not going to be that different. It could be a mental health thing for you to be like, let's just stop for the week or a few days or whatever it is.
Everybody needs a break.
Everybody needs a break. It's so true. It's so true. The other kind of, how do you know you're winning is, trying to manage the routine as much as you can. So making those gradual changes and then sticking to the things that really matter for your dog.
Yeah. And I think, just accept that maybe your dog's not going to do well if that's the case. I mean, advocate for them, but do what you can to support them, I guess, whatever that looks like for your dog, because that's going to vary between dogs, but whatever it is, just acknowledge. I guess it's hard, like when you've got a house full of people, to keep an eye on how your dog is modulating its feelings. But yes, I guess it comes back down to the advocating and being aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Being present for your dog.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it could be, if you have guests over for one night, maybe take turns with your family members. Like, okay, I'm on for just making sure that Rowan's okay for the next hour. And then it's going to be Jim's turn to kind of keep an eye on. I mean, not that you have to sit right next to the dog, but just kind of be aware of what's happening with the dog. Right. But, some dogs, like, for instance, Rowan, if we had a house full of people that he was uncomfortable with, he would just go to my bedroom.
Yeah, he would take himself
there. But not every dog's comfortable with that. So just, kind of, knowing your dog, knowing your situation, knowing your guests. We don't want a little boy sneaking into the room to try to interact with a dog who's not comfortable, right? Yeah. So we want to make sure that we're careful there.
Yeah, for sure.
Enjoy your holidays, everybody.
Yes.
And enjoy your dog. Really, when you're working through a behavioral struggle with your dog, and especially if your dog has more than one behavioral struggle or is generally anxious, it's really easy to get bogged down in training plans. And that's the only way you interact with your dog is, now we're going to desensitize this, and now we're going to do this, and now we're going to do this, and never just like go have fun with your dog. So this holiday season, in addition to some of the stuff we mentioned, do try to have fun with your loved ones and friends, and also your dog. Yeah,
I think that's so important. I've got nothing to add to that. I mean, it's a good way to wrap up. So, yeah.
I think so. Thank you guys for joining us, and have a wonderful holiday season. If this is a hard time of year for you, we're sending you hugs. I know it's a really tough time for a lot of people. Yeah. So we're thinking about you.
True.
Yep. Well, thanks for joining us today. Remember to subscribe and like and rate and review. All of those things. Remember, we're on most of the popular listening platforms as well as YouTube. So find us where you like to listen.
Yes. Oh, and also, this is our last episode for the year. We are going to be taking a little break till January sometime. So yes, I guess we just want to say best wishes. And I think we've done I meant to check before we come on. We've done quite a lot of episodes this year, Stacey. So it's nice to wrap the year up with a little holiday feel. But I am Ness Jones. I am in Australia. I'm from Separation Anxiety in Dogs Decoded. And you can reach out to me at nessjones.com if you would like to book a 30-minute Zoom consult so you can learn about my programs and how I can help you. What was I going to say, Stacey? I will be also having a wee little break over Christmas. So between Christmas and New Year, I will be blocking out my calendar till about the 2nd or 3rd of January. But nice. I'm still available till about the 23rd of December.
Fabulous. I am Stacey Bell with Focused Fun in the US. You can reach me at focusedfun.net. I also do have a free consult for you to learn more about what separation anxiety training entails in my packages. But listen, reach out to us also and let us know what you are looking forward to hearing more about next season on Tales from the Doghouse.
Yes, we would like to discuss. We would like to discuss what you would like us to discuss. So if you've got any topics you would like us to cover, we need to know.
Yep, we're here for you. We'll see you later.
Christmas.
Bye.
And Happy New Year.